Whilst it may seem tempting to build a new Singleton deck around Purrsuit of Perfection and Subpurrsible in the new Gauntlet mood, remember that their activation costs for reaching their full potential are steep and slow. In this video I will look at my suggestions for alternative Singleton Gauntlet decks. I will look at one aggro deck, one mid-range deck and one control deck to suit all playstyles. As a general rule of thumb, each deck will contain 40 unique cards. No two cards are allowed to be the same. To maximise the number of powerful cards, each deck contains 6 champions, which try to link in with some high level synergy themes. For example, burning, combat, or death, for example. All very high level themes, nothing too specific. So this is effectively a watered down version of the Noxus and Piltover and Zaun aggro burn deck. It's a combination of popular meta decks using these regions at the moment. It's the cheapest of the Singleton decks to build and only consists of 24 commons. This aggro deck is very follower heavy with 26 in total. The aim of this deck is to take advantage of catastrophe, Purrsuit of Perfection decks that will be seeing a lot of in this game mood. With 32 cards costing 3 or less, the game plan is to get in there quick and win the game with aggro cards like Legion Rearguard and Boom Crew Rookie. This can be supported by multiple burn spells in this deck like Mystery Shot and Get Excited. This deck contains lots of cards that buff damage. Cards like Arena Battlecaster and Might will give you a very much all or nothing playstyle. You'll be finishing off with a powerful mid-game Overwhelm themed cards like Crowd Favourite and Cater the Arm. Use this to close the game before they can really get Purrsuit of Perfection up and running. This is a standard mid-range deck, will be a little bit less mid-game pressured focused than your traditional mid-range decks due to being impossible to maintain the pressure with so many different cards in the deck. Like the previous deck mentioned on this video, it's also very follower heavy with 25 in total. It's slightly more expensive to build, containing 6 epics. Timing of cards in this deck is important. Sometimes you'll want to play Vanguard Redeemer as a vanilla 3/3, or just use Brothers Bond to buff 1 unit. You'll need to assess when to play cards for less value to get more tempo, to play quicker and rush for that earlier victory. The thing to remember about this deck is it's all about combat, so don't be afraid to keep your units alive at all costs with cards like Ranger's Resolve and Ripostes, because if you get to the later game it will bring more value to cards like Citria the Bold and Genevieve Elmhart, who buff all allies on the field, and that's the general consistent theme of this deck, is keeping people alive, and that's how you'll get the synergy by having all these different cards in the deck. If aggressive and mid-range decks are too fast for your playstyle, then maybe I would suggest a Piltover and Zaun alongside Shadow Isles deck if you prefer to use those kind of more controlling tools. As with most controlling decks, the aim here is to answer your opponent's threats efficiently as possible whilst playing high cost threats that can close the game quickly on their own. This deck contains the most spells out of all 3 of these decks, with 19 in total. It also has the highest average cost, with 18 cards costing 5 or more. Whilst the deck features Purrsuit of Perfection, which I know I slagged off in the beginning of the video, it does have other late game tools that can close the game, that come online a lot quicker than Purrsuit. For example, Commander Ledros or Hecarim. The whole Shadow Isles basically works around the theme of death, and there's a lot of Shadow Isles cards in this deck, so you should get a lot of really easy synergies here. Lots of cards have effects that trigger upon death, like Black Spear and Nevergate Collector for example. Shadow Isles has the absolute best board clearance in the game, and this is supported by Piltover and Zaun's fantastic board clear they also have, with cards like Static Shock and Gotcha. So this really should help you get to that late game controlling finish, and then you finish off those big power tools that I mentioned earlier. As this is such a new game mode, it's really hard to tell what kind of decks will work and won't work, but these are 3 ones that had particular success for me. I would love you to leave the deck codes of your Singleton decks that worked for you, and we can really kind of get a community going here with some discussion about what playstyles work best for this game mode. Thank you very much for listening guys, and I'll see you next time.